Hello, my Teaserking family. Hello, my Teaserking family. Finally, it worked. I tried this 3 times and the fucking audio was muted. I don't mute it. And actually, there's a mute up I can hit, but I don't do it. I don't know why it doesn't address the microphone. I thought I had that solved, and then now it's starting up again. Okay. So I wanted to talk about this one, the $15 million crypto scam, fake Bitcoin. Now, this is a lesson. Now, we just had the class on if you don't have it backed by gold or an asset, it's whatever you have is worthless. You must have the asset. This is the asset, right? The Rolex is the asset. The gold is the asset. This is not an asset. This is worthless unless it's backed by gold. Then it becomes an asset. So we're going to look at the crypto scam.
They can cover you up to $200 in between paychecks with no overdraft fees. Join me at chime.com.
Hi, welcome to another Cold Fusion video. Dr. Ruja Ignatova may not be a household name, but among a certain following, she's a superstar. She was the founder and the face of the cryptocurrency OneCoin. It was dubbed to be the Bitcoin killer and promised to revolutionize the way we see money. Dr. Ruja toured the world speaking to crowds of people at sold-out venues about how OneCoin was like Bitcoin, but bigger, better, and easier to use. On the back of OneCoin and the 3 million people who invested, Daruja reached fame and fortune. But suddenly, in late 2017, she disappeared without a trace. Where did she go? What happened? What was later uncovered was a story of greed, deceit, fraud, and an international scam worth $15 billion.
Sounds like the U.S. government.
You are watching Cold Fusion TV.
Stepping on stage to a packed-out crowd in 2016, a then 36-year-old crypto founder was welcomed with cheers and applause from endearing fans. The song, "This Woman Is on Fire," echoed through the Wembley Arena. While the lady who stood on stage was a superstar of sorts, she wasn't a pop singer. It was none other than Dr. Ruja Ignatova, the founder of OneCoin and one of the leaders of the global cryptocurrency movement. Though unbeknown to the cheering masses, just a year later, she would be on the missing persons list. Dr. Ruja was a commanding figure. She was extremely intelligent and knowledgeable, and was said to make high-level bankers look like fools. Her arguments were centered around many of the same ideologies that the wider crypto movement was based on. The idea that traditional banks and governments had too much power when it came to currency, and that it was time for a revolution to democratize money. That is, give the power back to the people. On the back of the 2008 global financial crisis, a lot of people were willing to listen. And rightly so. On these points, she was actually right. The OneCoin founder went on to blame the greed of the big banks for the financial crisis, and ultimately proclaimed that the current system was old and outdated, and that cryptocurrencies as a whole, and in particular OneCoin, would be the future.
Well, but it's just like what we said. The whole system was monopoly money. Had the money been backed by gold, none of 2008 or 2000 or 1980 or 1987 or any of the wars would have happened. With gold, you've never had the major war. They always come at like 1913, you didn't have a major war. Then we got on the Federal Reserve and off of gold in the Federal Reserve came into play in 1914. We had World War I, then World War II, and then Hitler, and then the whole bullshit because of money not backed by gold, so they can print and have wars. And that's what it's all about. That's the bottom line, unfortunately. So, it's just the Ponzi scheme being found out. So all the money goes to zero. Well, or it gets these, and then they get bailed out. Well, it's not a bailout because the banks run the government, so they just bail themselves out because this is a fucked up game.
But it went deeper than that. As Dr. Ruja spoke to thousands of investors at Wembley Stadium, she spoke about joining not just a good investment and not just a revolutionary global financial movement, but a family.
We will be the biggest out there and we will write history. And the cryptocurrency community will have to rewrite philosophy. Nobody can compare to us. We have today the most users. We are the biggest crypto reserve currency out there. And to everybody who tells me that I violate the philosophy of cryptocurrency, guys, we are a bigger community. We decide what the philosophy of cryptocurrency is.
Okay, so what's wrong with that picture? First, it's all made up. There is no cryptocurrency. Secondly, it's not backed by anything if it was. And then third, my biggest problem is all these people sucked into believing this crap. Why are there people there listening to this idiot? See, this is the part I don't get, how gullible people are. They need to be showed cryptocurrency. I can make money on it without doing any work. I can just give her my money and it'll go up in value. What a great idea. Does that sound familiar, Bernie Madoff? I'll give him money, give me 15%. But it's just how people are not educated and they don't understand it's a Ponzi scheme. They don't know what a Ponzi scheme is. And you would never catch me dead at one of these little things because I don't follow the leader. I am the leader. And crypto is not anything, so I wouldn't have gone there. If you wanted to give me euros, I know these are fucking worthless because they're not backed by gold. So why are all these people going to this event? Like, who the fuck is she? Some superstar or what? I mean, this is the problem. So then I start thinking stoically about why are people so weak and go to this thing. Well, what's the point? Why are they there? Why do they need to follow this woman? Can they not think for themselves? And this is really, I think, the problem with people. This is why we get vampires. The vampire wants to be liked, so he talks about everything. I hope you like me. And all it does is chase you away going, I'm glad that guy left. So this is the problem. Why are people so weak and need to listen to this woman? And they don't even know if she's real or not. As she turns out, she's not real. It's a Ponzi scheme. There is no one coin. All right, let's.
In 2 years, nobody will speak about Bitcoin anymore.
Investors became part of a network called Life. They would join WhatsApp groups with insider information, often being told to ignore the outside haters. They even had their own hand symbol, which people would use when meeting other members of One Life. But despite all of this, Dr. Ruja had the credentials to match her statements. She studied at Oxford, had a PhD, previously worked at McKinsey, which is a very exclusive global consulting group.
Here's a quick hack on how to unsubscribe from all of your emails at once. It's called Enroll Me, and it allows you to see all of...
OneCoin grew fast. Within 3 years of launching, there were over 3 million investors from around the world. Conferences and seminars popped up everywhere, from the United States, China, and the UK, all the way to African nations. Each event would at least a year of Dr. Ruja when she was too busy to leave her home country of Bulgaria. Things were going great for OneCoin until late 2017. Though earlier in the year, some cracks were beginning to show. In April of 2017, Indian police arrested 18 people in Mumbai for trying to organize a OneCoin recruiting event. Though during the sting, $11 million was transferred out of bank accounts before the police could get to it. In all of this, what was Dr. Ruja going to do? Dr. Ruja was scheduled to speak at a OneCoin seminar in Lisbon, Portugal in October 2017. However, she didn't make it to the seminar. This was unusual, as her colleagues noted that she was extremely punctual. She would often refuse to attend meetings if the other parties were just a single minute late. Her colleagues called her. No answer. No messages either. No one knew where she was. Being the head of a movement as valuable as OneCoin comes with its targets. The crypto founder was well aware of this and walked around with 2 bodyguards. Fears for her life spread, with rumors saying that she was kidnapped by some big banks, or more optimistically, that she went into hiding from them. But the thing is, nobody has seen Dr. Ruja since that day. After her disappearance, Dr. Ruja's younger brother, Konstantin, had taken her place at the top of the OneCoin empire. He was previously her bodyguard and personal assistant, a tattooed muscular figure who was, by the previous account of other employees, a bit dim. In March of 2019, Konstantin was about to board a flight from Los Angeles to Bulgaria. The FBI arrested him and charged him with money laundering and fraud. The same day, US authorities proclaimed OneCoin to be a fraud. The FBI has secretly charged the now missing Dr. Ruja over 2 years ago, around the same time she went missing. This raised some questions. Had she been tipped off? There'll be more on this later in the episode. So what was OneCoin in the first place? Essentially, it was multi-level marketing. Multi-level marketing typically uses people to recruit others who purchase starter packages. You make a commission for every person that you bring into the business. This includes a cut of that person's future sales, including everybody that they bring into the business. The problem with multi-level marketing is that it rarely, if ever, actually creates any value in the form of a product or a service. Fundamentally, people make money off recruiting others. Hence, a few people at the top make all the money, while the rest lose everything. OneCoin is sold in the form of educational packages, which contain tokens, which allow you to mine OneCoins. However, there really isn't any mining going on. The blockchain, a fundamental structure of cryptocurrency, doesn't even exist in OneCoin, and the exchange, which allows real money to be traded for OneCoin, has been under construction for years and marred with constant delays. Though the company will tell you that they sell educational packages, helping teach people about financial freedom. Each of these educational packages could cost anywhere from $100 to $100,000. This is how OneCoin made their money. A lot of the educational materials in these packages were later found to be plagiarized from other sources. The buyers of these packages are told that the money that they used to buy them would be converted into OneCoin, which is guaranteed to go up in value. Of course, this turned out to be false. Perhaps by hiding behind technicalities and loopholes, they've been able to grow so rapidly and fall under the legislative radar.
When you have a digital product that you cannot touch, like an education package, of course, people are more skeptical. So I respect everybody who has questions or who criticize or just wants to talk to us. But what I do not like is when people do not do their homework and do not check what is going on.
OneCoin recruited the best and most experienced multi-level marketing sellers to start the chain, and the scheme was far-reaching.
Why would
Even
you
as far
believe
as
it?
Uganda, the seminars sprout all over the world and brought ever more people into the get-rich scheme. Sadly, some sold their houses or their farm animals to buy in.
Can you believe that
Just
shit?
exactly how much did you lose, and what effect has it had on your life?
I personally lost 10,000 euros, and friends collectively, our loss has been 250,000 euros. It has been
Okay, what kind of idiot spends 250 grand on this shit? This is the problem, right? She has no idea. I'll get rich. I don't research it. I'm too stupid to research it. Where'd you get your 250 grand from? And then you lose it. So let's say she's telling the truth. Let's give her the benefit of the doubt. What the fuck is she doing? I mean, I get, 250 grand. Seriously, this is what you put into this, that you don't even know what it is. They don't even have the coin. This is why, at least if I spent, well, what do I show you? That Brady card's 7 million. Okay, let's say So let's say you put 250,000 in. Well, there's a Mahomes card. There's another Mahomes rookie 10. This isn't the rookie. And it goes for 500 grand, I think. Well, at least you got the card for 500 grand in an auction that is real, or you get the Brady card. It's real. What are you doing? Investing all this money without research, without analyzing, without talking to a professor. What are you, insane? This is the problem I have with people. They like, how stupid can you be? There's no product here. It's a one coin. This is why this is very dangerous and why I'm spending time on this Bitcoin before you lose your ass putting money into it when not knowing what you're doing and not knowing it's not real and not knowing it's not backed by gold. You're fucked in Bitcoin, but not knowing that, then what's going to happen, right? So this is the protection. Get out while you can.
Absolutely devastating.
For the unsuspecting person, it's not hard to see how they could be fooled. She wowed the crowds with her inspirational speeches, her credentials constantly upholding her. However, not all was as it seems. One of the first Google image search results that you get from Dr. Ruja appears to be her on the front cover of Forbes magazine. Here, she looks the part of a pioneering genius, but in reality, this wasn't the front cover of Forbes, far from it. It was a paid advertisement in Forbes Bulgaria magazine. The advert appeared halfway through the magazine, next to another advert selling watches. Of course, it was just a method to trick people into thinking Forbes had done a front-page interview with her. While it remains that Dr. Ruja has a PhD, attended Oxford, and is undoubtedly intelligent,
I just found out you could check police alerts on this app. I thought my neighborhood was safe.
How many commercials do we need?
The careful fabrication
On a
of
10 minute, it's a 10-minute
was an
video.
attempt to build authority and credibility around her. Hence, when she spoke at events, people were not only enchanted by her word, but impressed by her credibility. This is what made buying OneCoin look very attractive.
What were you told about investing in OneCoin and what it could earn you?
We were told that it's the value of it once you purchased. They were packages, so a £5,000 package, when you bought it, it turned into a digital currency value of 48,000. That's how it was approach to you.
Right. Which sounds like an amazing,
financially life-changing.
Yeah.
With its founder vanishing off the face of the earth and the indictment of her brother who took over the helm, the OneCoin show must go on. In homage to its glamorous founder, OneCoin bizarrely held a beauty contest. It was a hastily organized event intended to promote OneCoin in a time where doubt shrouded the company. The whole thing was a very strange affair. The top 5 contestants won $25,000 of plastic surgery vouchers, or the equivalent amount in OneCoin. The company claimed that it would have an audience of 20 to 50 million people and that it was sponsored by Vogue. However, this couldn't be further from the truth. There was only a few hundred people at the event, and Vogue had no idea about the contest. Reading the website MissOneLife.com, grammatical errors can be clearly seen, and it does look like a run-of-the-mill internet fraud. But regardless, it's amazing to think that this organization pulled in $15 billion in investments. Beneath the smiles, the glitz and glamour lies an uncomfortable truth. A truth that not only reflects individual human nature, but society as a whole, such as our perception of information in the tech age, coupled with greed and a herd mentality. Dr. Ruja is one example of blowing wide open the flaws of the modern age. With so much information being constantly created on the internet, people don't have time to fact check. People and companies can openly lie about facts and get away with it. The small portion of people who find the truth have a much smaller voice than the lie that was first told. And even if lies are exposed, it's oh so easy to blame fake news, haters, or simply just put out opposing content. Multi-level marketing, which relies on a community and person-to-person selling, can share some similarities to a cult. The people inside are convinced to believe that the outside is against them,
You need to stop harassing people and you need to stop upsetting people because this is
No, I'm not going to do that because you people are scamming people out of money and this company it's going to collapse.
and obnoxious. I have never met anybody like a person.
I don't give a
Okay, she's vampiring and he's not being stoic. If it was me on the other end, I just hang up. I don't argue with it or any of that stuff. There's no point in it. So they both need to learn stoic. She's yelling that just goodbye. He needs to stop yelling back. So when somebody's harassing you, you just walk away. You don't, I need the last word, or I need this, or I need that. It's just shut the fuck up and goodbye. And that's it. She's getting all hysterical. Well, I'm not paying attention to it.
scam. It's a scam.
The way that you're speaking, it's disgusting and we're meant to, and people have to take you
Okay,
serious.
vampire. We don't care.
Come on.
Vampire.
This us versus them mentality was one of the reasons that OneCoin seemingly continued to go on so effortlessly. To the believers, the entire financial sector and most of the world's governments wanted to shut down a revolution. Many still believe that Dr. Ruja's disappearance was for her own safety as opposed to her scamming everyone and running away with their money.
She's long gone.
So where is Dr. Ruja? Well, right now, that's anyone's guess. Her brother and former bodyguard, Konstantin, does reveal more details, however. During testimony after being arrested by the FBI, he states Dr. Ruja was living in Bulgaria before she vanished. She told him that she was, quote, very tired of all the haters and was afraid somebody close to her was going to give her up to the FBI. Some of the final details we have is that Dr. Ruja bought some plane tickets to Vienna, Austria, and then Athens, Greece. Konstantin hasn't spoken to his sister since she disappeared. He hired a private investigator to find her, but this has been unsuccessful. She's wanted by the United States, her brother is in custody awaiting trial, and yet her company is still somehow functioning, with steadfast believers and new ones buying in each day.
Jesus.
According to BBC journalists, as much as $1 million is still being pulled in each week. Her lawyer has recently been found guilty of fraud to the tune of $50 million and is awaiting sentencing. It's difficult to predict where she is. However, there's a high chance that she's still alive and just laying low. By accounts of former OneCoin employees, her mother was unnerved by her daughter's disappearance, suggesting that Dr. Ruja made a calculated exit. As mentioned, her last known travel destination was Athens, Greece. Though some clues point to Dubai, London, and Russia. With all of this being said, the wealth she acquired from OneCoin may mean that finding her is impossible.
Sort of two things really, is trying to figure out where this woman is, which there are theories like you wouldn't believe about where she is, what's happened to her, and also trying to sort of uncover just how she managed to pull this off. I mean, in some strange way, this is a remarkable achievement to have fooled so many people and then to have vanished off the face of the earth. This was becoming almost like a religion.
Dr. Ruja, through OneCoin, has exposed some glaring faults in society. Technology is developing so rapidly that it's difficult to keep up. This can generally be a great thing, though on the flip side, many people can be fooled into believing in technology they don't understand. Especially in this day and age, with so many sides to each story and the emergence of fake news surrounding the internet, it's easy to get lost in an echo chamber of confirmation bias. Today, it seems much more difficult for people to change their minds and consider opposing information. Dr. Ruja, who is thought to have run away with $400 million, may never be caught. Some even believe that she's drastically changed her appearance with plastic surgery. Sources say that the money lost ranges anywhere from $4 billion to $15 billion. For the sake of all of those investors who were scammed and lost everything, we can only hope that Dr. Ruja Ignatova resurfaces somewhere and has to answer for her misconduct. It's such a sad thing to see happen, but the only thing that can be learned is always do your research before investing into anything. So thanks for watching this video. If you want to see anything on science, technology, business.
Now, I don't know if I'll be blocked because it's the copyright or not, but that's why I didn't include it on the other one. So you've got a lot of problems here. You've got people aren't being, see, if you're stoic, you're going to think about this and going, is it, that's, I never got into Bitcoin because when it was presented, there was a Bitcoin out there, and I heard about it when I was playing poker at Caesars. I immediately understood that it can only be a Ponzi scheme because there's no asset, there's no Bitcoin, and people have to join it. And then how does it go up and down? Well, apparently it's people joining it. Well, that's a Ponzi scheme. There was no money. I think the biggest problem with Bitcoin is there's no coin. And all these people, but that's not. Now you're being really non-stoic because you're just a sheep to the slaughter. You're going to it because it's a big thing, or people, a lot of people in Sudan and these African countries wanted to get rich. There's the other video where they all want to get rich, and I want to, this is on the Bitcoin video. They all want to get rich, and they all want to, we can get rich playing this game and being this thing. It was so stupid. It was like, the only way you make money is you go earn it. And the only way you earn it is you do a job and somebody says, I'm going to pay you $50 an hour to do finance. I'm an attorney. I'm going to charge you $5,000 to do your case. Give me the money. Okay. And then you bill. You did the work. You get paid for it. So there's got to be a buyer and a seller. There's got to be, I can sell them a Mahomes card, but if I'm an idiot, if I give the card up without getting the money, I'm an idiot. So if I go on eBay or I'm at the pool and I got a Mahomes card, okay, okay, I'll sell it for $5,000. Okay, you'll pay me. Okay, give me the $5,000, you'll get the card. I'm not giving you the card before I get the $5,000 because then there's no incentive to pay me. So you can't be stupid about this stuff. But that's it. I mean, the way, I'm going to make money in Bitcoin. Okay. Gee, I mean, people are so fucking stupid. It really is just it's a terrible problem that people, I don't know. I guess they're screwed by the money and all the inflation and all the taxes that they look at. This is my only way out. I didn't get an education, so my skill set isn't very good. I can't make a lot of money. I can only be a waitress or work at a grocery store. I don't have the skill to work in accounting or finance or law or things like that, or IT. And so they don't have the skill because they never understood Adam Smith. They were never taught Adam Smith. What does Adam Smith say? Division of labor. So you can hammer nails in, or you can saw, or you can be the manager, or whatever it is. What pays me the most? And then can I do that? And that's really what it is. Apparently now what pays the most are people working in government, get all the kickbacks, or people like Warren Buffett who sells life insurance. They're just salesmen and scammers. So you got to be careful about that. Use your head. Think about exactly. She didn't. I forget. I'm reading something. I mean, you got to understand that whole thing. You got to understand Say's law. Supply creates demand. I work for something, I get paid. Well, if the money we're getting paid is worthless, you have to understand that. And then you got to go, when I get my paycheck, I'm running and buying gold because that's actually money and this isn't. So if I'm making $100,000 a year, I'm making this. I'm not making anything. This is worthless. So I get to get out. So I put the money in the bank or I buy stocks with it. I've already lost because it's not worth anything. So I got to get this and quickly. Okay, I'm going to work. That's what I'm at that point now. I'm going to work to get this to go buy gold until this has no value, which is coming very soon. But people don't understand that concept. It doesn't have value because nobody wants it. Everybody's going to bricks and nobody wants the dollar and they can't sell it in an auction. Well, I mean, that's what you got to read the signs, right? They're having auctions for dollars, for bonds, which are debt, and nobody wants them because they know the U.S. can't afford to pay the debt back. So therefore, nobody is buying, nobody's even, buying the debt. There is no market for it. Nobody wants it. People who would listen to me are getting out of it and buying gold and silver with it, as they should, because that's the only money. But that's really where you're at. You've got to understand things. Most people aren't taught it because the education system's so bad and doesn't teach anything. I saw my daughter was 7th grade math, and instead of just 22 and then 33 and then underneath would be 55, it was like a square. It was like North Carolina basketball. There's the 4 corners, and you got to go like across and up and down. I was like, holy fuck, what are you? These kids all have no idea how to do addition. Unbelievable. And the problem is then in Excel, how do you do it, right? So in Excel, I know what I need to do. Oh, I put the numbers in a row, and then I hit the sum button. Well, if I'm learning math diagonally, or in a square, how do I do it I wouldn't even know how to do it in Excel. It's just pathetic. The school systems are pathetic. I don't blame the teachers. It's whoever's controlling it, which is the government. Of course, I blame them. The government's way too big, printing way too much. It's all fake money, though. Again, your out's gold and silver because they can't print it. It is real money, and this is absolutely monopoly money. But nobody knows it. Or they don't believe you. Oh, come on, Howard. What do you mean I got to buy gold and silver? Or, how does it do this? And how does it, it doesn't have a value. Well, it's because it's manipulated. Because the government doesn't want you in it. They want you to stay in the dollar that's worthless. And then they can go, oh, I don't know what happened. All the money went out. Oh, the dollar's worthless. Oh, everybody lost everything. I don't know how that benefits them. That you lost your money and now we can control you. Well, how are you going to do that? I mean, come on. That's just so stupid. But that's the problem. So be stoic, which means don't be afraid to ask questions. If you don't know, don't do something. You shouldn't buy Bitcoin until you know exactly what it is and how to do it and how to, why would you buy a Bitcoin to make money? In what world do you think you're going to make money at it? Well, look, Howard, it's up to 70,000. It's not real. It's not even money. It's not. What is Bitcoin itself isn't money. It has a value. No, it doesn't, because it's not backed by anything. It's not backed by gold. So theoretically, when the dollar goes out, it'll be worthless, and it's worth 70,000 monopoly money. That's all it's worth, 70,000 of this, which is nothing. So it really has no value, but people will not want to hear that. People are really in big trouble, I feel. All right, there's one other one I want you to listen to. Okay, this one's too long. It's 50 minutes. I'm not going to waste your time with 50 minutes. But it's a pretty valuable thing. a lot of it is personality because you all right.
Looking at, depending on who you ask, is either a revolution for the internet and countless industries as we know it,
Like, in all seriousness, I compare it to the internet.
or the greatest Ponzi scheme in human history.
The whole thing is a promise that you can get rich for free.
Accused of being all of these things is the world of cryptocurrencies, or the other labels associated with it. NFTs, blockchains, Web 3.0. From the bizarre onslaught of celebrity promotions and endorsements,
I got an ape too.
Friends and community, both apes.
to the eye-watering numbers and headlines,
Digital artist People, the final bid, $69 million.
Oh my god.
to the grandiose claims about its potential.
It's the biggest technology that's ever happened in the history of life.
I want
Okay, so what's the problem now? People are saying things, but they're not giving details, and you're just going to believe it because he said it, right? The one thing sold for $69 million. That was a scam. The guy who paid the $69 million got the money back, and it wasn't even money. He paid it with crypto. So he pays it, and then the guy returns all the crypto back to him. It was a scam. So you think, wow, look at, I can get all this money, and you can't. If you tried to do it in the real world, you'd get 5 cents. But because the guy was, it'd be like me and Bobby. Bobby, you put here, give me 69 million for the Mahomes card. I'll give you the money back, but now everybody will think this is worth 69 million. And that's scam. That's not real. So that's what you got to be careful of, is listening to people to listen. The one thing that I am very strong and have to do is explain everything. I have to explain you need gold. The currency's worthless unless you have gold because they can't print gold, right? If you don't get that type of explanation, how the fuck can you listen to anybody and believe them? You can't just believe them because they talk loud or it's a celebrity or it's Jimmy Kimmel or whoever that guy was. I mean, that's bullshit. All right, a little bit more.
describe the world of cryptocurrencies as a story, and I did that in hopeful, optimistic tones. And now I don't think it's the story that I initially thought it was.
They only make money because some other sucker lost more.
Have fun staying poor. It amazes me that anybody is buying into this. They are decentralized Ponzi schemes.
The only thing that you have to show is Ponzi schemes. It's all bullshit.
Exactly.
For me and many others, it began here. What you're looking at is a piece of artwork by a digital artist called Michael Joseph Winkelmann, otherwise known as Beeple. On February the 25th of 2021, this artwork was put on auction. Bidding started at $100. It eventually sold for $69.3 million, making it one of the biggest sales in digital.
Now, does that make sense to anybody? I'm putting it out for $100 and I sell it for 69 million. Okay, I could put this out for $100, and then if I got 69, that wouldn't be real. All right, maybe a couple thousand for this. It's not graded yet. If I put this card out, my Barry Bonds 100 count for $100, I would expect maybe 1,000 because it's bonds and it's 100. Okay, so maybe because it's bonds and maybe because this is Mahomes, I get $1,000. How in the fuck do you sell a piece of garbage and get 69 million and nobody goes, that seems kind of strange? See, you got to be stoic and ask the question, right? See, it all comes back to stoic and not being stupid and not being taken advantage of, right? You know, the hot girl, oh yeah, I love you. Oh, by the way, you got you got $5,000 for me? Yeah, I'll come over. Yeah, we can have sex. Yeah. Oh, do you have 10,000 for me? I mean, that's about how stupid it is. Like, why do you like me? You're a girl. What do you? So I mean, you always have to think what's real. Now, Jenna, I met and we fine. She's real. Made offing me. Carmen made off me. Give me money. Give me money. Give me money. And then Daria, it's a little, but not too much. Maybe she's made offing me or not. I'll find out soon. Once we meet, then the Madoff's over. But that's the thing. You've gotta think, what the fuck? How does it get 69 million? Because it was fixed.
Super lucky. What happened afterwards? Where do I begin?
A digital artwork by a relatively unknown American artist.
Sold for nearly $70 million.
That's more than most Picassos, Monets, or Warhols.
That it doesn't exist in physical form. It is only available digitally.
It's the first NFT ever sold at auction.
Non-fungible token, NFT.
NFTs or non-fungible tokens.
Explain NFTs to people that don't know what you're talking about, because I don't know what you're talking about.
It was like suddenly the term NFT was just everywhere. Jack Dorsey, co-founder of Twitter, sells a picture of his first ever tweet as an NFT.
Jack Dorsey auctioning his first tweet as digital art.
$2.9 million. Even popular internet memes were selling as this NFT thing. Nyan Cat, $590,000. Charlie Bit My Finger, $760,999. Disaster Golf, $500,000. Doge, $4 million. Overly Attached Girlfriend, $411,000. Bad Luck Brian, $36,000. Scumbag Steve, $57,000. You had singer-songwriter Grind selling $6 million worth of digital art as NFTs. People were changing their profile pictures on social media to NFTs that they had purchased. It was like flexing an expensive car or a watch. And then suddenly, all these big celebrities and artists and influencers were also replacing their profile pictures with NFTs and announcing their own purchases of NFT. And the apes were part of this bigger project of NFTs called Bored Ape Yacht Club. I mean, you had Snoop Dogg, Eminem, DJ Khaled, Lil Baby, Post Malone, Stephen Curry, Gwyneth Paltrow, to name a few, all of them purchasing these pictures of apes for sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And amongst this sea of high ticket sales, you would hear that this is all part of something revolutionary.
It's the biggest technology that's ever happened in the history of life, outside of things like fire.
Regardless of how much you knew about NFTs, there was one message that was really clear. Behind every story, every headline, there was an underlying premise. Something is happening, and there is a lot of money to be made.
Welcome back to the show, and congrats on getting married. This is a big deal. Last time you were on the show, I asked you to explain NFTs.
So, popular talk show host Jimmy Fallon does this segment on his show with Paris Hilton where they show off their pics.
This is your babe.
Yeah, it's really cool. The hat.
It's really cool.
Part of the same community.
And I think a lot of people started to as well. You start to realize that the purchase of Beeple's artwork, that wasn't done through $69.3 million in cash. That purchase was made using cryptocurrencies. In fact, all the NFT purchases that we were seeing, they were done through cryptocurrency. The mysterious individual who purchased Beeple's artwork that went by the pseudonym Metakovan, turns out it's this guy called Vignesh Sundaresan, who is already a cryptocurrency entrepreneur and had a working relationship with Beeple months prior to the big sale. And whilst there was all this talk about the revolutionary potential behind what we're seeing, there was another side of the story that was being painted by people who are far more skeptical. And those voices had a clear warning. What you are witnessing is a mania.
We've got this system that is gleefully and gloriously corrupt.
A mania that is being driven by greed.
Get rich quick by investing in cryptocurrency.
Mass delusion.
My ape is an inner reflection of myself.
Or, as other critics put it, it is a giant scam that has some of the largest names, brands, venture capital firms backing it, knowingly or not. NFTs were just a component of a much bigger machine with a lot of moving pieces. And when you put those pieces together, it creates a machine for one of the greatest scams in human history. And it all begins Here, with a mysterious invention and a failed revolution.
March! We're ready for March Madness on YouTube TV. We're here.
2000.
Great timing on the commercials.
That's where this really begins.
Apple shares were just getting hammered this morning.
We're down by between 3 and 4.5% generally.
The United
Take
States
note,
is
that's
going
about
through a
what's gonna
recession
happen
it
soon.
hasn't seen since the Great Depression.
The consumers strangled. They're watching their housing prices go lower. They're watching their 401ks get diminished.
You created the mess we're in, and now you're saying sorry.
Amongst the backdrop of this all, a mysterious
Remember, the
individual is
dollars aren't
working
worth
on their
anything.
invention. On the 31st of October, they send an email to a cryptography mailing list. The email begins: I've been working on a new electronic cash system that's fully peer-to-peer with no trusted third party. It was signed by somebody under the pseudonym Satoshi Nakamoto. Whoever this Nakamoto person was, they had a vision. The vision was to create a type of currency that existed digitally, that could be controlled by no government or single individual, that could be used to transacting globally no matter where you were or what time it was. The name of this currency and invention? Bitcoin. On January the 3rd, 2009, Nakamoto launches his invention, creating the first ever Bitcoins to exist. It was an attractive pitch, especially to people who held anti-state control sentiments. We're talking about anarchists, techno-anarchists, libertarians, cypherpunks. These were individuals who likely saw the government, the banks, the entire financial institution as just untrustworthy, that they can't be allowed to monetary policy. And it was these factions that became the first adopters of Bitcoin, influencing its early culture. The goal was simple: preach the message of Bitcoin to others and increase its adoption. Bitcoin was kind of like a religion of its own, right? Like Satoshi Nakamoto was this Jesus-like figure that would communicate with his disciples on online forums. He would talk of this future vision of the world, one where the dollar no longer existed and actions would be made through Bitcoin, the global currency of the people that was owned by no central entity. To those early adopters of Bitcoin, they really felt like they were on the cusp of something revolutionary. It just so happened that the more people started buying into the message, the higher Bitcoin's value rose, and the more people were willing to put real dollars into buying Bitcoins.
Bitcoin is now up to $111.
Bitcoin started drawing attention places it probably wasn't expecting or even wanting. The guys in suits, the big money, the people who saw Bitcoin as revolutionary, but perhaps more importantly, as an opportunity. The Winklevoss twins were a perfect example of that.
I hate those
Here you have
losers.
two twins who have graduated from Harvard. They've won a settlement for $65 million against Mark Zuckerberg for stealing their initial idea of Facebook. They found out about Bitcoin on a holiday trip to Ibiza, and they started buying as much as they could. They were stockpiling the currency. It was by around 2013 that they were rumored to own about 1% of all Bitcoin in circulation. That, I think, was a perfect early warning of what was to come. Bitcoin was doomed from the start. That's what a lot of crypto skeptics will tell you. And I understand why. Relying on computer code and the ideals of tech anarchists probably isn't the best place to entrust a reimagining of the financial system. Bitcoin had a fixed supply of 21 million coins, which makes it deflationary by nature. So if one Bitcoin is worth more tomorrow than it is today, why would you want to use it to transact with? It's a bad incentive to have if you're trying to make a global currency. But that is already assuming that Bitcoin had the technical capabilities to become this worldwide currency, which it didn't. Bitcoin had scaling issues thanks to design decisions that Nakamoto themselves had made. It could only process 7 transactions per second. Compared to other traditional payment networks like Visa, which can process 1,700 transactions per second, or MasterCard, which handles transactions per second. And keeping the Bitcoin network running wasted a lot of energy. Bitcoin aimed to be decentralized, meaning no government or single entity had control over it. But in order to do that, Nakamoto employed what is called a proof-of-work consensus model. All this meant was that computers on the Bitcoin network would be forced to use real-world energy in order to solve algorithmic problems. And whichever computer solved the problem first would be rewarded with more Bitcoins. It was a process called mining. And that process is insanely wasteful of energy. And what ends up happening? Proof of work incentivized this arms race between computers on the Bitcoin network, all of them looking to build more and more powerful computers to have a better chance of mining Bitcoin. And the more powerful those computers grew, the more real-world energy they ended up taking, despite the fact that the transactions per second remained the same. Most Bitcoin mining done today is done by huge mining farms in warehouses. Bitcoin, for the most part, failed in its objective of trying to become a global currency. Outside of illegal use purposes, Bitcoin just wasn't being used to transact with. So, the obvious question becomes, how? How is it that despite its failings, Bitcoin still survived and is very much present to this day? But that's just the thing. The Bitcoin that we see today is a shell of its former identity, where most of the purchasing of Bitcoin today happens on centralized exchanges that have to comply with the laws of centralized institutions. In the instances where you've heard about Bitcoin, or if you've ever been encouraged to buy Bitcoin, under what context is that always framed? By 2014, the mysterious Satoshi Nakamoto effectively vanished from the internet and hasn't been heard from since. What was left of his invention was no longer a currency, it was something entirely different.
If you have spare capital and you're looking to capitalize on the current bull run, here's how you can consistently...
It was no longer a currency, it was something entirely different. Bernie Madoff. This was a guy who was well respected on Wall Street. He ran a brokerage firm with a wealth management branch. He had many clients investing with his firm under the promise of great returns on their money until...
The FBI arrested him this morning after he told senior employees yesterday that his business was a giant Ponzi scheme.
Madoff had been running the largest Ponzi scheme in history for the last 17 years and potentially longer, worth around $64.8 billion. He would essentially put his investors' money inside a bank account and then simply pay out early investors with the money that new investors were giving. Now, Madoff eventually pleaded guilty, and he was in prison up until his death in 2021.
The banks are doing that now, only they print it.
Eddie Ponzi scheme. People invest into the scheme under this promise that they're going to make a great amount of returns, and then early investors are paid using the money of new investors. And this process is repeated on and on until eventually you run out of new recruits to keep investing money into the scheme, or eventually people start trying to cash out and it just collapses, which tends to leave early investors with profits and the large majority of others with nothing but losses. People hearing about Bitcoin would hear about two things. One, that it was revolutionary, and two, that it was valuable. That if you buy now, you could be rich later.
If you really, really want to become wealthy in the future, I would suggest you take $1 frickin' buy some Bitcoin.
Bitcoin, to me, it's not just an investment. It's not just maybe a get-rich-quick scheme, as a lot of people put it, but I see it as the future of currency. I see it as the future of the financial system.
So you realize that most of the people buying Bitcoin, they're not buying it to use as a currency. They're buying it as an investment. And therein lies the contradiction. Because the people who used Bitcoin like an investment, the less liable Bitcoin became as a currency, the very thing it's being pitched as being revolutionary as. So you know what you end up with, right?
Bitcoin is a get-rich-quick scheme. The promise is you can get rich for free. Magical internet money.
Anyone who buys into the idea of Bitcoin is doing so to sell it for a higher price at a future date, and the people that buy it off those people are also looking to sell it for a higher price at a future date. The only way to make money from your Bitcoin investment is using the money of new investors.
You hear about people making money in Bitcoin. They only make money because some other sucker lost more.
And unlike Bernie Madoff, right, who gets all the blame and the satisfying jail time at the end of his story, here you have an entity that isn't owned by anyone, or some would argue isn't a decentralized currency. It's a decentralized Ponzi scheme. Now, Ponzi schemes are kept alive by continuously finding new recruits and new markets to tap into so that money is continuously being poured into the scheme. And so you start to see this similar incentive develop in the crypto space, this desperate need to find a use case for this stuff, and that use case has to be revolutionary enough to justify its rising value. Bitcoin may have been the first part of this machine, but things were about to get a whole lot more interesting. Bitcoin had something going for it. The blockchain system that kept it running was somewhat unique. Okay, so let's not complicate things, right? You can think of Bitcoin like a digital spreadsheet that records transactions being used in the currency. It's not a physical coin, it's just data on a database. After a certain number of transactions are made, a brand new spreadsheet is created that links to the previous one, and on and on and on it goes. Instead of using real names, users are recognized through what are called wallet addresses, which appear as a random string of numbers and letters. And all of this is kind of kept together using computer code, cryptography, and the network of miners that are running it, which is where the word cryptocurrency comes from. So what was essentially just an immutable append-only database was touted as revolutionary. Blockchain was no longer just blockchain, it was blockchain technology. And it wasn't long before people started to see the success and the ideals that Bitcoin was based off and begin creating their own cryptocurrencies using this blockchain system. Vitalik Buterin, a teenager who decided to quit his favorite video game, World of Warcraft, after his Warlock character had a damage component removed by the game developers. Vitalik says that he cried himself to sleep that night. That was the day that he realized the horrors that centralized services bring. It sounds a bit ridiculous, but Vitalik would end up discovering Bitcoin in 2011 and he would start writing for a Bitcoin magazine. It all appealed to his ideals. In 2015, Vitalik and several other co-founders launched the creation of their own blockchain-based invention. It was called Ethereum. Much like Bitcoin, Ethereum had its own blockchain and it had its own native currency, which was called Ether. There was one important difference though. You see, Ethereum allowed its users to actually program applications on its blockchain. Put it this way, if Bitcoin was like a spreadsheet, then Ethereum was like an Excel spreadsheet that allowed users to create functions to perform various different tasks. It was, a little more advanced. It was a glimpse of hope at finding the revolutionary use cases the cryptocurrency world needed in order to justify the growing value that was being pumped into the system. So, what was the first thing that people started using Ethereum for? Creating more cryptocurrencies.
And today we will be creating our own cryptocurrency in under 10 or maybe even under 5 minutes.
Rather than needing to create your own blockchain and network, you could just use Ethereum's blockchain to create your own cryptocurrencies, or crypto assets as people called them. These assets that existed without their own native blockchain were called tokens.
There are now over 1,500 cryptocurrencies.
It became known as the ICO mania. It was supposed to be this new way to fund your business. Businesses could create their own token coins, release what is called a white paper, which explains what the project aimed to do, and then they could sell those tokens to the public, otherwise known as an initial coin offering, ICO. A whole wave of these token coins were being released. Some of them parodies and others were just blatant scams.
Bitcoin,
The Whopper coin,
Trump coin,
Kodak coin.
Insane coin.
But here it is. So I created Dictator coin.
Jesus coin was a token coin that was promising to decentralize Jesus on the blockchain. On its white paper, its creators stated they were in early talks with churches to provide miracles exclusively to Jesus coin owners. Ponzi coin was very much open about the fact that it was a scam. Their website literally said it right there. It's as much as a scam as 99% of the ICOs out there, but it's more transparent about it. Ponzi coin still managed to raise $250,000. It didn't matter if the idea was good enough or not, or if it even solved the problems it was claiming to solve. All that mattered was that people believed in the token enough so that the value would rise and it would pay off the early investors who got in at the start.
There was one that you invested in that saw like 2,000% growth last month.
Yep.
What was it?
That was debit coin.
ICOs also marked the beginning of an unlikely friendship between those in the cryptocurrency space and influencers and celebrities. If token coins were fueled by hype and attention, then celebrities and influencers were the ones that were running the gas stations. Famous professional boxer Floyd Mayweather, along with producer DJ Khaled, were paid $100,000 and $50,000 respectively to promote the token coin Centratech in 2017. Centratech was a project that was promising to deliver financial services to the cryptocurrency world. The coin had raised $32 million. Turns out they lied about their CEO, who wasn't even a real person that existed. They lied about business deals with MasterCard and Visa, and its co-founder, Sam Sharma, was eventually sentenced to 8 years in prison. ICOs
Seems like a lot of nice guys doing this
casino
shit.
to gamble unregistered securities. But you have to remember the hidden incentives. No matter how fraudulent or bizarre everything looks on the outside in the crypto world, you have to keep clutching at potential use cases or anything that will justify its value constantly rising to new investors. And whilst the ICO mania of 2017 was continuing, a whole new idea was coming to fruition.
So how many of y'all have heard of this new game that came out recently?
I don't know how do we actually describe what these things are?
And today we're talking about crypto kitties.
Crypto kitties
How
was
stupid
probably
are
one of the
people?
first
Are you
NFT
kidding me?
projects to make it into the spotlight.
Crypto Kitties,
Crypto kitties.
the viral blockchain-based game that sparked a global craze for virtual cats.
It's a picture of a cat. You logged onto the site, you created an account that was connected to your crypto wallet, and you'd play this game in which you would collect, breed, and sell virtual cats for cryptocurrency. The key pitch here, though, is that every cat is its own unique token that exists on the Ethereum blockchain, making them what you would essentially call non-fungible, or, as they're often called now, a non-fungible token, an NFT.
Think of it like a digital Beanie Babies. Now, if that sounds a little weird, it's because it is.
CryptoKitties became like its own mania. It generated $3 million within its first week of launch and accounted for roughly 10 to 13% of all traffic on Ethereum's network. And where was everyone's focus during that mania?
Okay, that's $2,700 for this little guy.
Why use these crypto kitties?
$450,000 for this ugly mug.
The same reason you started out with the cryptocurrency. To make money.
Guys, this is a potential way to make some money.
This is insane.
Most users are trying to breed their cats at the moment, not just because it's kind of cool, but also because they can be very expensive.
There are thousands of people playing on the CryptoKitties website.
Once everyone started rushing to join in on the hype, the economics of the game began to falter as the supply of CryptoKitties stretched far beyond the demand, eventually leading to a crash in the price of CryptoKitties and a fall in average users.
Everybody lost
Continue
everything.
to see time and time again, almost everyone was there to make money. But what remained of that saga was the idea of non-fungible assets. A brand new package, a brand new pitch, a new route to find use cases for cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology.
How much bargain detergent does it take to clean as well as Tide? More. Keep going. Still not enough.
Seriously.
Doesn't mean more clean. Switch to Tide and get 3 times
15-second Tide commercial in the middle of this.
This stuff was initially pitched to digital artists. The idea was that you would make artwork, then tokenize that artwork, which just means turning it into a token that exists on a blockchain like Ethereum. If you wanted to know who owned the artwork, all you had to do was just go and check the blockchain record, see which wallet was associated with the artwork. In theory, you could digitally verify the ownership of your art. Sounds exciting, you might think. I did too. Digital artist Michael Winkelmann, otherwise known as Beeple, began a challenge in 2007 where he would create one piece of artwork every single day and continue to do so throughout the years. It was known as his Everydays collection.
But to me, the bigger project is this long-term Everydays project, which is a project that I've been working on, every single day for over 12 years.
It was reportedly around October of 2020 when Beeple was put in touch with an anonymous NFT artist called Pac, and Pac informed Beeple about the world of NFTs. Only a few months later, he would end up auctioning a piece of artwork that contained a collage of the first 5,000 images of the Everydays series, titled Everydays: The First 5,000 Days. $69.3 million was how much it sold for in the Ether cryptocurrency, one of the largest sales in digital art history. The very sale that sent the search term NFT skyrocketing. So now the question becomes, who decided to make that purchase?
So you purchased a collection of 5,000 pieces of digital art that anyone can easily see online for $69 million. Why did you do that?
I'm an idiot.
Metakovan, or as they were later revealed to be, Vignesh Sundaresan, a crypto entrepreneur who had recently co-founded a crypto investment firm with his business partner called Metapurse. Only a few months before this big $69 million purchase, Metakovan and his business partner had already bought another collection of NFTs from Beeple for over $2.2 million. They actually wrote a blog post about their purchase, alluding to the fact that this was only part of a much bigger project that they had in mind that will, quote, flip the art world status quo on its head. And what was that project that they were talking about? The B20 token coin. They were going to bundle their purchases of Beeple's NFTs collection and put it in a virtual museum where those who purchased the B20 token coin could access and view the artwork. Owning the B20 token was supposed to represent a type of fractional ownership in the virtual museum and the contents inside of it. Here's the thing. Meta Kovan and his business partner conveniently owned 59% of the total supply of B20 tokens. Beeple was also given 2% of that supply. Beeple and Meta Kovan already had a working relationship before the big Everyday's 5,000 sale. When that sale happened and the media frenzy ensued, the B20 token rose in value to $23 as more people began obviously looking into who Meta Kovan was. People have accused that sale of essentially being a giant marketing stunt to increase the value of the B20 token. Even in their calls together, you can hear people express skepticism around the whole thing, only for Meta Kovan and the others to kind of bring him around.
Other artists, I can almost guarantee, will not like this. Like, they will not like you taking their work and like splitting it into a million pieces and reselling those pieces. I would be very surprised if other artists did not have a very strong dislike of that.
But what I find the most insane about this saga was that the B20 virtual token has fallen over 99% in value since its all-time high. Despite all of this, Meta Kovan's sale sent headlines skyrocketing. Suddenly, NFTs were being created out of internet memes or anything really that was culturally relevant to the internet. From the outside, all you had to know was that NFTs were revolutionary and there was a lot of money involved. You didn't even have to know that they were intrinsically tied to the world of cryptocurrencies or blockchain. A successful repackaging. Once the sale of memes and other one-off NFT sales cooled down, it became more popular to start buying into NFT projects. These contained up to thousands of NFTs inside of them, usually following a certain theme or concept.
What are CryptoPunks?
These are the CryptoPunks.
They're 25 by 25 pixels.
Yeah, they're icons of zombies and
aliens, zombies, and yeah, they all have different mohawks and glasses and beard types. And I mean,
what is Cool Cats? The coolest NFTs on the blockchain.
Should I get a Lazy Lions NFT?
Where do they find these idiots from?
Clone X. This project
Oh
is
my
previously
God.
known as Akira.
Sneaky Vampire Syndicate. We've got pudgy penguins on the chopping block today.
They're selling us something called Weebits.
Just as it had been with Bitcoin and token coins, the name of the game was about hyping up a project so that you can sell it for profit later. NFTs, though, were cooler than your average token coin, so they had art behind them. You could show them off by replacing your social media profile picture with an NFT you purchased. More so than ever, hype and attention became an important part of growing the value of an NFT. Which brings us to the apes.
Try my Old Spice.
We're at the
His
apes.
chest and
Look at all the commercials. Jesus
Which brings
Christ.
us to the apes. One of the most significant projects created after Beeple's sale was the Bored Ape Yacht Club, otherwise shortened to just BAYC. Founded by the company Yuga Labs, the project featured 10,000 different pictures of apes with this distinct bored expression on their face. The Bored Ape Yacht Club project had managed to arrive into the NFT space at just the right time, about a month after Beeple's big sale. There were a few popular people inside of the NFT space already, one of which went by the name of Jimmy McNeils, otherwise known as Jimmy ETH on Twitter, who shortly after finding out about the project announces their purchase of hundreds of Bored Ape NFTs. Then another popular figure in the NFT space, Pranksy, who had around 50,000 followers at the time, tweets their own purchase of 250 Bored Apes, which later rose to 1,250. And all the time these guys are tweeting about their purchases to their followers, it starts to create this buzz inside of the crypto space.
You've probably seen all over Twitter this crazy thing with apes.
Just after 12 hours of its official launch, the BAYC collection sold out, giving Yuga Labs an estimated $2.8 million in revenue. Pranksy starts selling some of his apes to NBA players who start tweeting and changing their profile pictures to those apes. In August, the popular DJ Steve Aoki tweets his own $40,000 purchase of a Bored Ape to his millions of followers.
Ape. Follow Ape began trending immediately. Continue to drive up the price of Bored Apes. You ape, me ape, a trend.
One of the shadiest parts about everything that followed were the blurred lines between celebrities and influencers clearly manipulating a market to pump up the value of their NFTs and genuine posts simply just showing off their purchases. You had Justin Bieber in January of this year posting a picture of a Bored Ape number 3001 to his 251 million followers, a purchase that was reportedly worth $1.3 million. Everyone sort of assumes that Justin was the one that made the purchase himself, right? And he's just posting it on his Instagram. But then Twitter users started to look into the records and they find that Justin's supposed crypto wallet had received 900 Ether from another wallet address. And that wallet address was associated with an individual named Gianpiero D'Alessandro, or as many others may recognize him, Justin Bieber's business partner. And Gianpiero owned his own NFT collection called In-Betweeners, which Bieber had been promoting on social media already. In those posts, no disclaimer was made suggesting that Bieber had been paid to promote them.
I just got my first NFT. Oh, you did? What was it? Through MoonPay.
In some of the announcements from celebrities about their NFT purchases, there was this constant reference to a company called MoonPay, thanking them for help with purchasing their NFTs.
I got an ape too because I saw you on the show with people and you said you got a MoonPay.
Turns out, MoonPay was a company that was launched in 2019, which according to their website had one singular aim: to increase cryptocurrency adoption. So that begs the question, what is the relationship between MoonPay and the supposed